Sometimes death comes in strange and unexpected ways, some so careless it's hard to believe they're real. In this video, we'll look at 5 more true stories of people who lost their lives in the most tragically foolish ways. These aren't made-up tales or dark jokes. They're real events that ended in disaster, proof that one small mistake can lead to something permanent. It was the evening of August 25, 2010, in Bakersfield, California. Dr. Jacqueline Kotarak, a 49-year-old internal medicine physician, had just come from a night out, where she had reportedly been drinking. She was known across her community not just for her skills, but also for her generosity. She often helped patients for free and was said to care for up to 200 people a week. But that evening, something pushed her to make a decision that would cost her life. Dr. Kotarak had a long and complicated relationship with William Moody, a 58-year-old businessman. They had been involved on and off, with more downs than ups. That night she went to his home, possibly wanting to talk. But Moody didn't want another argument. He quietly slipped out the back door before she arrived and stayed elsewhere for the night. Not knowing he had left, Dr. Kotarak tried to get into the locked house. First, she used a shovel to break down the back door. When that didn't work, she grabbed a ladder, climbed to the roof, and removed the chimney cap. Authorities later confirmed she tried to enter the house by going feet first down the chimney. It was a fatal mistake. About 2 feet above the fireplace opening, the chimney narrowed sharply. She got stuck. The space was too tight for her chest to move, and she couldn't breathe. She had no way to call for help, and no one around heard or saw what had happened. She died from mechanical asphyxiation. Essentially, she was trapped so tightly that her lungs couldn't expand. Moody didn't return home. By Thursday morning, when Dr. Kotarak didn't show up to work, her assistant and Moody became worried. Her car was still outside his house. Inside, her purse, phone, money, and credit cards were untouched, but there was no sign of her. Later that day, she was officially reported missing. On Friday night, neighbors noticed something unusual. A woman named Terry Terrazas said she started smelling something strange in the air. Another neighbor thought they had heard a faint voice calling for help, but they dismissed it as kids playing. Nobody thought to check the chimney. By Saturday, the smell had gotten worse. Moody had already left for Europe, and someone was assigned to look after his house and feed his fish. When the house sitter and her son arrived, the odor led them to the fireplace. They shined a flashlight up the flue and saw something shocking. Dr. Kotarak's body was jammed inside the chimney about 2 feet above the fireplace. She had been there for 3 days. Her body had already started to break down, and fluid had begun leaking through the hearth. Firefighters were called. It took 5 hours to carefully dismantle the chimney from the outside. The space was tight, and the condition of her body made recovery slow and difficult. The autopsy confirmed the cause of death as mechanical asphyxia. Police said there were no signs of anyone else being involved, and no struggle had taken place. She had likely acted on her own, under the influence of alcohol and emotional stress. Moody later said she had made a terrible error in judgment and couldn't explain why she tried to get in that way. He didn't say much about their relationship, but admitted her death had been hard to process. Despite everything, he described her as a respected doctor who truly cared for others. Her patients agreed. She had recently been named a local favorite by the community. Dr. Kotarak's death was ruled accidental. There are still questions: why she did it, whether she had a plan, or if it was just an emotional act. But one thing was clear: it was one of the most unusual and tragic deaths Bakersfield had ever seen. She was 49 years old, and her life ended inside a chimney. It was August 10, 2021, in Fulsawangi village, in Maharashtra's Yavatmal district. A group of young men had gathered in an open field. At the center stood a strange machine that looked like a small helicopter. Inside it sat 24-year-old Sheikh Ismail Sheikh Ibrahim. Ismail wasn't an engineer. He had dropped out after 8th grade and worked in his older brother Musavir's gas welding shop. There he learned to build metal items like cupboards and coolers. But Ismail had bigger plans. He wanted to build a real working helicopter and do it all by himself. 2 years earlier, he started creating a single-seater helicopter he named the Muna helicopter after his own nickname. Inspired by the character Rancho from the movie 3 Idiots, he believed he could achieve something great. He had no training, so he taught himself using YouTube videos on helicopter mechanics and DIY builds. Piece by piece, he used scrap metal, steel pipes, and the engine of a Maruti 800 car to build his flying machine. Ismail's dream wasn't about internet fame. He wanted to reveal the helicopter on August 15th, India's Independence Day. He also hoped to someday build low-cost helicopters for rescue efforts during floods, but before any of that could happen, he needed one final test. That night, a few friends gathered to watch the test flight. Some began filming. The helicopter looked fragile but complete. Ismail got in the seat, but strangely wasn't wearing his helmet or headphones, gear he usually never skipped. No one knows why he left them off. He started the engine. The machine came to life. The main rotor spun, followed by the tail rotor. Everything looked normal. In earlier tests, it had lifted about 5 feet off the ground. That's what everyone hoped for again. Then, something went wrong. The tail rotor assembly broke off from the machine. It struck the main rotor, sending metal shards flying. One large piece smashed through the windshield and hit Ismail in the head. He collapsed immediately. His friends, frozen in shock, dropped their phones and rushed to him. They pulled him from the wreck and raced him to a hospital in Pusad, but he didn't survive the trip. Doctors said he had passed before they could admit him. The village was stunned. To many, Ismail was Rancho, known for his drive and love for machines. He wasn't trained, but he was determined. He had spent 2 years working non-stop on the Muna helicopter, believing it would bring pride to his village. Videos from the crash quickly spread on social media. Across India and beyond, people watched the final moments of Ismail's flight. What started as a dream had turned into a tragedy. Police began an investigation. They questioned Ismail's brother and the 3 friends who had witnessed the flight. Authorities seized the remains of the helicopter to examine what had gone wrong, whether it was poor design, mechanical failure, or both. According to his friends, Ismail had been cautious in earlier tests. He always wore safety gear, but not on that final night. One friend said Ismail wanted the world to know about Fulsawangi. He had no formal education, just metal scraps, car parts, and YouTube. Yet he believed that was enough. Inspector Vilas Chauhan told reporters that Ismail wanted to build helicopters costing about 3 million rupees, or roughly $40,000, to help with rescue missions. But his homemade aircraft failed in a fatal way. Experts later said the tail rotor gave way due to pressure and weak structure. Once it broke, it hit the main rotor and caused a chain reaction. They also noted the helicopter lacked proper design checks and testing. While online tutorials can help with small projects, flying machines need expert oversight. Ismail was cremated on August 11th. A large crowd came to pay their respects. The man who dreamed of flight had become a symbol, both of ambition and of what can happen when safety is overlooked. He built something incredible with what little he had, but in the end, that dream cost him his life. It was August 23, 2017, in Thornaby, a small town in northeast England. Jordan Easton had just turned 22 5 days earlier. He was known as a lively, funny, and cheerful young man who worked as a joiner. On that day, he was out with friends. There were no problems, no arguments, just a regular evening among people who knew him well. According to police, Jordan had faced struggles in the past, but had been doing better recently. Friends said he was someone who could brighten any room. Later that day, the group returned to a friend's house. It was a quiet night. Among them were a mother and a young girl. Nothing felt out of the ordinary. Then, something unexpected happened. Jordan told the group he was wearing a stab-proof jacket, something he claimed could stop a knife. At first, no one took it seriously, but suddenly, in what investigators would later describe as a reckless act, Jordan picked up a kitchen knife and drove it into his own chest. He believed the blade wouldn't go through, but it did. Everyone around him immediately realized how serious it was. Emergency services were called right away, and Jordan was rushed to the University Hospital of North Tees. Despite efforts to save him, Jordan died from a single chest wound. Cleveland police launched an investigation, led by Detective Superintendent Ted Butcher. They needed to confirm what had actually happened. All witness accounts matched. Toxicology tests showed nothing unusual in Jordan's system, and the post-mortem confirmed that his injury was consistent with the story his friends told. There was no sign Jordan had done this out of hopelessness, and nothing pointed to anyone else being involved. Authorities concluded it was a spontaneous act based on misplaced confidence. Detective Butcher explained that Jordan had not shown any sign of wanting to hurt himself. He said Jordan had settled down from his earlier struggles and was not acting out of distress. The case was closed with no criminal findings. At the inquest, Assistant Coroner Karen Welsh reviewed the evidence. She confirmed that Jordan had acted on the belief that his jacket could protect him. She described it as the foolishness of youth. Her official ruling? Death by misadventure, a legal term meaning someone died as a result of taking a risk without intending to get hurt. Jordan's mother, Allison Price, spoke during the hearing. She said it didn't seem like something her son would do, especially in front of a mother and child. It would make more sense if he was just showing off in front of the lads, she said. But in that setting, it's not like him. I still can't understand it. Everything investigators found supported her feelings. There was no motive, no warning signs, just a tragic mistake based on the false belief that he was protected. The coroner offered her sympathy to Jordan's family. She acknowledged how painful it must be to lose someone in such a sudden and unnecessary way. After the news broke, many friends shared tributes online. One wrote, "R.I.P. to one of the craziest lads I've met. You were one of a kind." Another said, "Totally heartbroken. Deep down, you had a heart of gold." A childhood friend added, "Everyone on the estate loved him." People remembered Jordan as someone who made them laugh, who was full of energy, and who always brought good vibes. That's what makes the story even harder to accept. He wasn't angry. He wasn't in trouble. He just made a terrible decision in a moment of false confidence. One unanswered question remains. What kind of jacket was he wearing? Authorities never confirmed the type. Stab-resistant clothing does exist, usually made with materials like Kevlar and sold to professionals. Some companies even advertise protective hoodies or jackets. But there's no proof Jordan's jacket had any of that. He may have misunderstood or believed something that wasn't true. In the end, it didn't matter. Whatever he wore, it couldn't stop what happened. Jordan Easton was 22. He had his whole life ahead of him. Surrounded by friends and with no warning signs, one moment ended it all, and he never got another chance. It was May 28, 2025 in Budva, Montenegro, a busy coastal town just entering the summer season. Tourists were starting to fill the beaches, and among them was 19-year-old Tijana Radonjic, a student and model from Novi Sad, Serbia. She had come to Budva for a vacation with her aunt and cousin. Like many her age, she regularly posted updates online, sharing her trip with friends and family. That day, a local tour company offered Tijana a free parasailing ride in exchange for promotional footage. The plan was to record her flying above the Adriatic Sea in a bikini, relaxed and smiling, to help advertise the activity. Witnesses said Tijana seemed calm and cheerful. She smiled, waved to friends on the boat, and followed the staff's instructions. After being securely strapped into her harness and given basic safety guidance, the boat took off, lifting her into the air. Soon she was floating around 50 meters, about 165 feet above the sea. Then something changed. A camera mounted on her gear recorded her body language shifting. She looked around, appearing confused and anxious. She began fidgeting, pulling at the straps and trying to adjust her position. Her face showed growing panic. Moments later, she started tugging at her life vest and safety harness. People on the beach could hear her shouting, "Put me down! Put me down!" Some also heard her calling for help. In the footage, she is seen loosening her waist strap, twisting in the seat, and trying to lift herself. She then flips upside down and falls through the leg braces. Tijana dropped roughly 50 meters into the sea. People nearby screamed. Boats rushed out to search the area. She was quickly pulled from the water, but it was too late. She did not survive the fall. News of the incident spread rapidly across Montenegro and Serbia. The video confirmed what many witnesses had reported. Tijana appeared frightened and was trying to free herself mid-air. The situation raised immediate questions. Why would she unbuckle herself during the flight? Mirko Krdzic, the owner of the parasailing company, said Tijana had shown no fear beforehand. She had completed basic training and seemed excited. He added, "I don't think she was fully aware of what she was doing. It may have been a moment of uncontrollable fear." He also confirmed that technical checks were being done on all equipment and expressed his deep sorrow. He said he hoped to meet her parents personally to offer his condolences. As investigations began, different theories emerged. Some believed Tijana may have suffered a panic attack. Others wondered if she misunderstood something or thought there was a problem with the gear. Her family strongly denied any idea that she harmed herself on purpose. They described her as joyful and full of energy, someone who loved children and had just graduated. Her parents, Branka and Goran, released a message before her funeral. "We will never come to terms with this. You will stay in our hearts forever." Her aunt posted an emotional tribute, recalling the laughter and moments they shared just before the tragedy. Friends from Novi Sad posted memories and messages, remembering Tihana as kind, fearless, and always smiling. As the video made its way online, many began questioning how something like this could happen. Viewers pointed out that in high-risk activities like skydiving, beginners are usually paired with professionals. Some asked why the same isn't required in parasailing. There was also talk about the pressure young people face when filming for social media. Tijana had no prior parasailing experience, and some believe she may have panicked or misread the situation mid-air. From her height, she may not have realized how high she really was. Authorities in Kotor opened a formal investigation. They're reviewing the company's safety protocols, inspecting equipment, and speaking with witnesses. Final reports, including the autopsy and technical findings, were still pending. What remains is the loss of a young life during what should have been a simple vacation experience. Tijana's story now echoes far beyond Montenegro, leaving behind questions and a grieving family still searching for answers. It was June 1, 2025, on an early Sunday morning in East Hartford, Connecticut. A group of teenagers had just finished eating at the AAA diner on Main Street. Their bill totaled $115, but instead of paying, they got into an Uber and left. A police officer soon pulled the car over near Main and Orchard Streets. Inside the vehicle was 17-year-old Jackie Perry. Jackie was a junior at Weaver High School in Hartford. He was quiet, respectful, and loved basketball and football. He had recently been working on improving his life. His grades were getting better, and he was excited about an upcoming basketball tournament in Florida with his coach. But he wouldn't get the chance to go. When the police stopped the Uber, they told the teens they wouldn't press charges if they paid the bill. Bodycam footage later showed Jackie calmly explaining that he had already paid $50. He was cooperative, at first. Things changed when officers noticed he kept reaching into his pockets. One of them told Jackie to keep his hands behind his back for safety. They asked to do a quick pat-down. Jackie got nervous. He tried calling his mother and even handed his phone to one of the officers. It's unclear if she ever answered. Before the pat-down could happen, Jackie ran. Bodycam footage shows him sprinting down Orchard Street, turning onto Main Street, and running past a medical supply store. Then a single gunshot was heard. "Shots fired! Shots fired!" the officer yelled. Moments later, Jackie was found lying on the sidewalk, screaming. He had been hit in the leg. The gun he was carrying had gone off while he ran, hitting an artery and a vein in his right thigh. He was losing blood quickly. Paramedics rushed him to St. Francis Hospital, but he passed away during emergency surgery. The Office of the Chief Medical Examiner ruled his death an accident. Jackie had been carrying a gun that was reported stolen from South Windsor. It's still unknown how he got it. Jackie's death shocked the community. Friends, teachers, and family said he wasn't someone who looked for trouble. He had made mistakes, but he was working to turn things around. He started playing football at age 9, coached by his grandfather, Trevor Big T Tiggett. He also played high school basketball. Even after struggling with foot injuries, he stayed committed. During his freshman year, he lived with a relative and went to Windsor High, then transferred back to Weaver. Jackie's grandmother, Lori Perry, said he got into some trouble during his sophomore year, but things changed after he joined an alternative education program. His grades improved and he became more focused. He lived with his mother, Jabrell Perry, and was one of 8 siblings. Earlier that year, their home on Martin Street was destroyed in a fire, and they had to move. Despite the loss, Jackie remained positive. On Mother's Day, he gave his mom a pink teddy bear with a recorded message, thanking her and saying he loved her. His grandmother said she didn't know why he had a gun and insisted he didn't steal from the diner. Bodycam footage showed Jackie clearly stating he had paid part of the bill. More than 200 people came to a memorial near the site of their burned home. They released balloons and shared memories. Funeral services were held at Howard K. Hill Funeral Services in Bloomfield, with a live stream for those who couldn't attend. Jackie's coach, Dean Jones, said he had a good heart. Jackie was supposed to go with the team to Florida. Now, his coach was left trying to support a grieving mother and her remaining children. The other teens with Jackie were charged for not paying the bill. Police confirmed the gun was stolen, but haven't said how Jackie got it. Jackie's death left a deep impact. Teachers, teammates, and the local football league all remembered him as kind and respectful. His story shows how quickly one decision can change everything, and how deeply that loss can be felt.